hello. When was the last time we talked? Was it prior to me going away to the UK?
Prior to, yes. And it was, I was about to go into the bush in the Yukon.
Okay.
Last conversation. You had just told me about not drinking coffee, and you were rehearsing with, what's his name?
Anoop.
Anoop, yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, well, that's good to remember. I've had some really positive advancements in terms of what I'm feeling about the record since then.
Yeah.
When I got to Mono Valley, it was clear to me that this experience was rooted in probably some sort of middle-aged, like midlife, not crisis, but midlife sort of thing, where as opposed to getting myself a car or whatever, I wanted to get myself this record and, have the orchestra in the Ukraine and the women's choir and Keneally and these three amazing drummers and, the best engineer I could find for this.
So, sounds good. Let's go.
Mono Valley ended up being this really sort of interesting, sort of almost like a commune sort of vibe that we ended up setting up there, because it's in the middle of nowhere and everybody lives there, and there's a living room that everybody can hang out in after hours, and one of the engineers also cooked, and it's a lot of it's all like vegan and vegetarian food, and so we're basically hanging out in the middle of Wales, and then every now and then you could just wander into this iconic sort of Neve studio that Black Sabbath used to rehearse there, and Queen recorded there, and it was just this.
Wow.
Yeah, dude, it was really an unbelievable experience, actually.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah.
I want to make sure it was based on communication between you guys, and that he's not in there thinking,
Yeah.
where did everybody go?
Yeah, no, I think so. I mean, it might be worth me expressing that to him, though. Yeah. Why don't we get the first one down just so you can get the pattern established between you and Ollie, and then we'll come back and loiter.
We're almost done with it.
Really? Yeah. Fuck yeah.
So Anoop Sastry was a drummer that was recommended to me by some friends, and I had him do the lion's share of the heavy hitting work. Anoop is a brilliant drummer and a brilliant musician, and he engineers his own work, and he ends up doing any edits, and just what an attribute to have, because almost in the polar opposite of how Morgan functions, Anoop is really fastidious about getting it exactly the way that I wanted it. And we worked in Vancouver, and he asked me like where every cymbal was, where every drum was, and he went ahead and replicated that perfectly. So by the time we got there, I didn't even have to be in the studio with him. He was so confident and just such a force behind the kit that him and Nolly just sat there and recorded all the tracks, and I would come in at the end. Mike and I would come in at the end and just be like, wow, that is perfect. Guy's killer.
That's the most difficult part of the album done.
Yeah,
How you doing?
Oh shit! I didn't know you were here already, buddy.
How you doing, man?
Holy shit! It's good to meet you.
Great to meet you.
Fuck, I had no idea you were gonna be here today.
Really?
Yeah, I thought it was tomorrow.
So the guy who I wanted to get, I looked online through all these death metal drummers and just tried to find somebody who would be able to pull off this really, really kind of inhuman stuff that I wanted to do, and like Hear Me and the Middle of Singularity. But I didn't want somebody who brought an energy to the record that was dark necessarily. I wanted somebody who was good-natured and like just really precise. That was it. I've worked so much with really fast drums, and to me it works best when it's controlled, even at those high speeds, and Sam is just a freak of nature, man.
I love it. Let's make sure it's clean enough. Let's hear it back.
Okay.
And then Morgan, my technique with him was, as opposed to getting him to learn the song and stressing him out, I said, don't learn anything and just show up. And then when he showed up, what I did was I took each song and I split each song into pieces.
One last.
But because the music was so multifaceted, each one of these guys played specific roles. Each one did a certain thing. Say it's 5 or 6 pieces in a song. A couple of verses, a couple of fills, midsections, choruses, intro, whatever. What I did was I just looped each one of those 5 sections for 20 minutes and then sat in the room with him and just got him to jam over it without him knowing the parts at all. So all he had was a click track and all the backing tracks, and then he just jammed it. And then eventually he came out with just phenomenal drum parts that there's no way he would remember necessarily. But because of the momentum that he had going, by the end of each one of these sections, or maybe just a few minutes in, he was coming up with this inhuman stuff that just was total reaction. Between those 3 drummers, it was just the Franken drummer of all Franken drummers, you know?
Yeah.
Okay.
So my relationship with Mike Keneally was something that I will always value from this experience. I spent so much time in my own head and thinking about my process and writing and being all neurotic about it in the ways that I have been, that sometimes it's easy to get lost in your own thoughts. But anytime I've worked with anybody in a co-production sense, it's always been more that they're trying to guide the ship and get into the performances and all these sorts of things. And that's not what I was really looking for with Mike. For him, he's just such a brilliant mind with such experience that just having someone of his caliber there at the session, he basically was the one that we could all default to when it came to understanding. Maybe I'd written a guitar part and I don't understand exactly what I did, but Nathan, who is this brilliant bass player that I met through a friend and agreed to help me with this record as well, Mike was able to take these ideas that I had done orchestrally or guitar-wise or with the bass, and he's able to speak the language. So he's not only able to speak the language that I kind of fumble through, but he really knows music, and just to have him there as another brain was just, again, such an honor. I'm so resistant to being told what to do. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't want my ideas to change. I just would love somebody there that I can bounce things off as well. And because he's such an easygoing cat, and because we get along really well on a social level, I could defer to him. I could be sitting there braining out in the ways that I do, and he's just kind of sitting in the back. But then I could turn around and say, hey, Mike, what do you think about this? And he would just have a ton of ideas. Or I could say, I've got this idea, in this part, this guy's running, and all of a sudden I want it to sound like the music trips on a shoelace. And then he would have these clever ideas. He'd be, sing your melody, sing your rhythm into the phone, and then he would take that melody and start to turn it into actual music. But the biggest thing is, I didn't want my vision to be messed with. And it's a real fine line that I don't think many people that would be of a less caliber musician than Mike would be able to understand. He was really able to guide me and my process in a way without ever telling me what to do.
If you could get down to like that or that.
Oh no, we will.
Okay.
We will. But I mean.
But I think the thing that I struggled with that as well is feeling insecure about it as well, because what I'm ultimately looking for him to do with me is the same that he did with Zappa, or the same that he did with Vi or anything. And what that does, it puts me in a position where I'm super insecure, because I'm not those guys, you know. It's like I do my thing and I'm happy with it, but in no conceivable sense would I compare myself to anybody like that. So I had to kind of realize that, he just is I think he describes himself in the best way. He says he's a bee that just flits around from flower to flower. Man, I'm in a mood here. I'm just rambling again, but
No, it's
for whatever reason, it's really important for me that this record is just fantastic and massive. So, I'm just working towards that goal and then letting it go at the end of the night. I go to bed at like 9:30 at night now.
yeah.
Ugh. Oh, and just as a side note, I'm still in those jammies. So I wore the jammies for the whole time at Mono Valley, and every day that I wake up, I'm wearing the same jammies. I'm just like, nope, not getting out of my jammies till this is done. I get out of them when I need to go to the store or when I need to do exercise, but morning to evening, man, I am just in my jammies and loving it.
I mean, that works.
Technically, it's dance.